Hello everyone, welcome to another video. So today we're going to be making a pin cushion. It's pretty straightforward and easy. So the things you'll need for this pin cushion are your fabric of choice, pins, scissors, soft gum, say your chalk, elastic, and any round cover of container depending on how big you want your pin cushion or how small you want it to be. So the first thing you're going to do is to place the cover over your fabric and trace the outline. You're going to be doing this 2 times, so the first one and then you do it the second time. After tracing the outline, the next thing you do is to go ahead and cut along the outline. After cutting on the outline, the next thing you're going to do is to identify the front of your fabric, okay? Just look for the front of your fabric and then place both sides together. Place the right sides of both fabrics together and then go ahead to pin it so you can be able to sew it very well. Moving on to the next sewing step, so you're going to get your fabric again and get the measurement of your wrist. So this particular method or this particular step depends on how ruffled you want the wristband to be. Okay, so my wrist measures about 7, but I decided to cut 12 inches on the fabric. It's just so that when I wear the wristband, it will be kind of full on my hand. Do you understand? So that's basically it. So that's 12 inches for the length and then 3 inches for the breadth or the width of the fabric. So just cut after marking. Moving on to the sewing aspect, you're going to get those round circles you cut earlier. I'm going to sew around it, leaving a little bit of space big enough for you to turn it inside out, okay? So after sewing it, this is what it looks like, and you can see the hole I left. So the next step is to create notches around your seam. Be careful not to cut into your seam, okay? After creating the notches, you're going to turn the fabric inside out to reveal the neat part of your circle. You can use a screwdriver or any instrument or tool to, push the edges around and make sure it comes out looking okay. So after pushing the edges around, this is what I ended up with. So we're going to be working with this. The next step is to get that long strip of fabric you cut earlier. Now we're going to be sewing along the edges. You fold the fabric into 2 and sew along the open edge. After sewing, you're going to turn the fabric inside out once again to reveal the neat part. I had a bit of a struggle in this process, but just take your time and try to turn it inside out. If you have a way of doing this so efficiently and fast, please drop it in the comment section. I'll really appreciate it. Thank you. So after you've been able to turn it inside out, you're going to push the seam to the middle of your back, okay? Then you go ahead to iron the circle and the long strip, and I'm right back. So after ironing, this is what it looks like. It's looking all nice and flat. So the next thing we're going to do now is to stuff the circle with our hair stay, or what we call gum stay, the softest gum stay. So I've gone ahead to start cutting it and stuffing the circle with it. So if you have foam or you have anything that is softer, you can definitely use it, but this is what I had, so I opted to use this hair stay. When you're done with that step, the next thing you do is to grab your needle and thread and then sew the little opening that we left before. So you have to close the edges to make sure that the fabric is not revealing any raw edge, okay? So you fold it in a bit and then sew it to close the edge. After you've sewn the opening, you should have something like this. So the next thing you need to do is to take the measurement of your wrist. My wrist originally is 7 inches, but I added 1 inch for allowance. So you get that measurement and then cut with that measurement on your elastic. Okay, so after doing that, you're going to get a safety pin. You use the safety pin to pass it through this long strip of fabric, and make sure that the elastic does not get lost inside. Okay, so when you've done that, you're going to overlap the elastic at both ends. Just watch what I am doing and you understand it. You're going to overlap the elastic at both ends and then go ahead to sew on it. All right. After sewing, this is what it should look like. The next thing you do is to overlap the fabrics at both ends as well, and then close the raw edge. Overlap the fabric at the ends and then fold the raw edge in. Then you also go ahead to sew it as well. Make sure you take your time in doing this step because you do not want to have a rough looking wristband. So after sewing it, this is what it looks like. Came out looking really nice. If you feel like you would prefer a more fitted band, then you should add 2 inches to your allowance when cutting your elastic. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do is to place, that point where you just sewed on the wristband. You're going to place your circle puff on it. Okay, you're going to place it on it and then sew around the edges, like you sew the edge of the circle and connect it to the wristband. So after I did this process, I realized that the circle was still unstable a bit, so I had to use glue to glue it down. After sewing and gluing the cushion to the band, this is what I had. Now you can go ahead to insert your pins. It came out looking so cute. If you're somebody like me that always loses pins and finds it really stressful to start picking pins from the pack when you're sewing, then this is a really good hack for you. With this pin cushion, you can easily insert your pin and access it anytime you want to use them. If you found this tutorial really helpful, please click on the subscribe button and also like this video because there are more goodies coming your way. There are so many more tutorials that I have planned out and I am going to post. So please stay tuned and then I'll see you guys in my next video.